Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Costello. I am a YA author, book mentor, editor, and educator. And today I wanted to talk about where to start when you're writing your story. We're getting started into 2021. Happy New Year. And for some people, this will be the year that you start your book. And where do you start? How do you start writing your story? Where do you get the ideas? How do you even begin? So I'm going to talk you through a few points that can help you get started and hopefully make the process seem a little bit less scary. My first tip overall is just start writing. And that sounds a lot easier than it is, but the easiest thing that you can do is just to get started. Because once you start, even if it's not something you will keep, you'll start to have the ideas develop, and they might not be good at first, but that is totally fine. Shitty first drafts are okay. That is why it is a draft. So, where can you get your ideas from? The answer really is anywhere. You can be influenced by media, by things other people are reading. You can be influenced by a line in a book or something someone says. I personally get a lot of my ideas from dreams. Later on, I'm usually able to filter through where that initial idea came from, but for me, most of the stories that I write come from an initial dream that I'm able to grow into a larger piece. For example, the book that I am currently working on and should be published later this year, Until All the Stars Are Found, came from the final scene, or one of the final scenes in the book, was what my original story idea was, and I kind of had to work backwards over a few years to figure out how to start the story, who it really was, and to go from there. Now, I don't say that for you to be scared, oh shit, this is going to take a couple of years. No, you can have an idea come to you today, and you can start writing it today and get going. So a couple different things that are points you can use to ground yourself in an idea would be to think about, if you have one, who your character is. Are they a teenager that is just trying to deal with normal high school bullshit and they don't know how to function and do it? Or are they a convict that's dealing with a case that they didn't actually commit? Both of those are going to have very different stories. So if you can figure out who are they, just very generally, who are they, and what is their main goal? It doesn't have to be what the goal of the plot is. It could be that student just wants to go to college, so they're just trying to get through, and then their parents are getting divorced, and they have to figure that out. Their goal can be going to college and figuring out how to go through academically throughout all of these other things that keep coming in and stopping them. And then, what is stopping them? What is the main thing getting in their way constantly? Hi, kitty cat. The next thing that you can think about is, what kind of conflict are you faced with? Athena is making her appearance on the podcast today. So what kind of conflict are you facing? And the few different ways of conflict that I like to look at would be, is it man versus man, man versus society, man versus nature, or man versus self? So for man versus man, there is a specific person that is causing issues and is opposing what I want to do. Man versus society could be, for example, a black person facing the injustices of a modern white society. Man versus nature could be someone is in a plane crash and they have to figure out how to survive and get out of that scenario. And man versus self could be someone dealing with a severe depression or alcoholism or some other thing that is causing an internal conflict. So what does your story require? Based on what your main character's goals are, what are you facing? For example, if you go back to Harry Potter, in a lot of ways that is man versus man. Harry is trying to fight and learn how to deal with Voldemort over the years. But then in some cases, it's also man versus society, with everyone thinking that he is this awful person in the later books before more information comes out and he's doing magic with muggles and all of that stuff. And man versus self as he tries to understand his powers and what he can do. So all of these things are ways that you can look at the basic structure of your story before you even initially start writing and go, okay, this is what I think I want the story to be. And I would encourage you to write just like a 1-sentence description of what your story is. And this can be fluid and it can change, but it's something that when someone asks you what your story is about, you can say, my story is X. I am working on a story that is XYZ. Just so you have that in your back pocket, because it can kind of give you a little bit of like, oh, okay, I know what I'm talking about today. I can talk about this. Even if you don't want to. Even if you don't share it, you have that available to you, and you can go back to it. Like, this is the core idea that I have right now. I know some people, and I've seen it come around more and more recently, have started to write the synopsis, or what it'll be seen on the back of the book, before they actually write the entire story. I personally do not do this. The synopsis is one of the last things I do, because I am awful at them. But if that's what you need to do, it's sort of like a variant of a narrative outline. Now, I can do a whole video/podcast on outlines and the different ways you can do them. I also have tools on different outlining options available on my website, which is scripturientpress.weebly.com. But that could be one way that you look at your outline. Now, here comes the question of to outline or not to outline. I kind of do a little bit of both. For some stories, I need to have that like detailed list of things going on, and for others, I just need like a bullet point, like I call it the stepping stone method, because it's like, I know the ending of the book. I know what is on the other side of the river, but I need these like plot points that connect that I can step on to get across. The synopsis could be your stepping stone method or your narrative method. You could do a full narrative outline, or you just brain dump an essay of everything that you want to happen. Or you could do stuff that's more detailed, like with a block chapter outline and things like that. Or you could just say screw it and do no outline whatsoever. There's plenty of authors that have absolutely no outline and no idea what will happen until they start writing. I am one of those in some cases. Sometimes I have like an idea and then I'm like, no, I don't like that idea, and just toss it, and that's totally fine. There's plenty of people that do that. You kind of got to play it by ear depending on what you're working on. And then lastly, I want to encourage you, even if you don't have a specific idea that you want to work on, maybe just as an exercise to go on Pinterest or just Google story prompts and do maybe not every day, but like once a week, twice a week, a story prompt where you just go on and you see, okay, I want to write a story, very short scene about someone who says, why did you do it? And there is a gun on the table. And then that's what your clue is, and you build something around that. You never know. That could be the start of your story that you end up writing this year. It doesn't have to be scary. We all start somewhere. We all start with that dreaded blank page and the blinking cursor. But over time, it will be filled with wonderful words that may or may not be shared with anybody. If you found this episode helpful, please let me know down in the comments any tips or tricks that you have or things that you do to help get started when you're facing that blank page and just trying to get started. All of my social media links will be listed down below, and I do also want to note that I currently am opening for editing, so if you are looking to get some story help on a draft, I can help with your character arcs and general plot devices and things like that to make your story the strongest it can be. I am not a grammar editor. I do not do copy editing or proof editing. That is not my cup of tea. I am here to help you to create the best core story. If you'd like more information on that, you can head over to scripturentpress.weebly.com. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!